This is actually something that I got from like my mentor, Zach Booth, is, you pick an area that has houses are selling like in the median range for that particular market, and you go after areas that have houses selling, say for instance, the median's like 250 or 200. You would, like use Zillow, and I think he has like YouTube videos that will show you how to do it. But you just basically like go after like those median house price areas, and I just start driving in those areas. But after, like you have your buyers list, of course the most important thing is getting that marketing, going out and driving, getting your pins in. Hey Elise, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. So nice. It's Naqib, right?
Yep.
I love it. Where are you at?
Currently in Atlanta.
Currently, do you move around a lot?
Yeah. I think last time we talked, I was in like Rhode Island, I believe. But yeah, so I'm in Atlanta now.
All right, let's dive in. So it's been a minute since we caught up. So tell me what has come of that deal.
Okay, yeah. So last time we spoke, it was like right after I did my first deal, and that was in Rhode Island. I ended up selling that house to a builder. He's gonna just like basically demo it and build something newer and nicer. But anyways, it's kind of like a funny story. So I moved out of the Rhode Island market, kind of bounced around to the Carolinas, and now I'm in Atlanta. But so I want to say I had stayed in touch with that builder who I worked with on the first deal. So we would text every now and then, but so he hits me up like just out of the blue. Hey man, I got this duplex, in Providence. Do you want it? And I was like, what? Like, I was like, yeah, I want it. Like, tell me about it. So he's like, here it is. This is the address. This is how much I want. It needs work, yada, yada. Mind you, I'm in South Carolina at the time. But I'm like, yeah, I definitely want that. So I shoot it over to a connection of mine who's like a realtor. He does like some high volume. He's also an investor. So I shoot it over to him like, hey man, could you go check this out? He goes and looks at it. And he's like, okay, yeah, we can make something happen there. So we closed on that deal. That was a 10K deal, just like super quick. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and no marketing spent. This was just like a referral. The guy, and this all like ties back to like that first deal. Like I said, he was the buyer. He just knew that I was in the real estate market, whatever, doing deals, and he just reached out to me. So then he texts me like, hey man, yeah, I'm gonna sell this to you. Like, I don't care if you make money. Obviously, he made whatever his spread was. I think he bought it super cheap. I was just looking to like offload it real quick.
Got it.
So he's like, hey man, if you come across anything, the area that I buy in, I had just like literally like probably within like that same week, just started reaching out to some of my old leads in Rhode Island. This lady, or this couple rather, who's out of state, they had a couple of duplexes, and one of them they were in the area that he buys in. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I might have something for you, So I ended up, so we go into negotiation with them. They were out of state landlords, they just basically like wanting to get rid of the property so they could put their investment somewhere else, essentially. So, I just basically told them like what we do, like we buy cash, we're make the process super convenient. and easy for you, yada yada. You'll probably be exchanging like a little bit of equity if you work with us. They're like, yeah, we just kind of want to get rid of these. One of the buildings, one of the duplexes, the tenants weren't paying. The
Oof.
other one needed like a little bit of work. So they were like, yeah, we just want an as is sell. So that one was, one of them was in the area that he buys in. So I ended up, I sent all the info to him. I locked it up. He went out, or really like somebody from his team went out. They liked it. They bought that one. So that one was, I think we locked it up at 225, sold it for 250. So that was, yeah, that was a pretty good deal, and everyone was happy. Like the seller, they were down, you know, one less headache of a property, and then the buyer, that was like for the area, that was a super great deal. Like I don't really know if there's even too many duplexes in that area, especially at that price. So so that was a good one for him. So then they have another duplex. They're like, okay, we work with you. I think they wanted to sell it as a package deal at first, and then the numbers wouldn't work out. So I said, okay, we'll just take the one over here, and then we'll worry about the other one later, you know. So some time went by. This was, I want to say like August, when all of that happened, when we closed on the first one. And then I just stayed in contact with them. I would just text them, hey, how's it going? You know, have you guys given any more thought into selling the property? And, you know, we would just like have like a super casual conversation, like, oh no, I don't, they're like, oh no, I don't think we're gonna be able to come to like a price that works for both of us. We're, you know, and then I was just like, hey, like here are your options. Like, why don't you just like list it? They're like, oh, the tenants aren't paying any rent. Like we're waiting for the rent recovery to come in. And then I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you waited all this while, like what's a couple more months, you know, for the rent to start rolling back in. They're like, oh no, we just kind of want to get rid of it. So
And how, can I ask you for, before you go too far, I don't want to forget, how did you, you said these were older driving for dollars leads that you wanted to read out. How did you cold call them, or did you mail them, or did you text them?
This one came from texting. Yeah, okay. This was a texting lead.
And then how often, I know you said you kept in touch with them a couple of times, like what is, just for people who are listening, like what is the time span that you wait until you text them again? Like what is your follow-up time span?
Let's see here. I'm actually right in front of my computer, so I can just look at it.
But that is crazy that your one property led to the other one within like a month. Like you didn't even, it was like one right after the other that he was like, I need another property.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was, the timing was just perfect. He was like, hey, keep me in mind if you have anything in this area. And I'm like literally talking to somebody that's selling in that area right now. So I think like right after we closed the first duplex for them, I just waited like maybe like a week. And then you know, I was like, hey, are you still thinking about holding on to that other one for a while? And then, you know, they gave like the pushback about, you know, not wanting to sell it, all of that stuff. And then yeah, I would just follow up with them, like I would say like every week or 2 weeks. Okay. Like, hey, just checking in, you know. Yeah, I would say like 2 weeks at the most. I would let it run before reaching out to them again.
I love that, because I think so many people get stuck in their heads of like, I don't want to keep bothering them, but you're having a conversation with them of you kept just saying like, hey, just checking in. You didn't make it a big deal. You were just creating that relationship, furthering that relationship that you already had with them.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like the big thing, and this is something that I still like run into or like have thoughts about till this day, is like you really have to be in the mindset that you're like serving and adding value, or you're going to think of yourself as like a pest, you know, like that you're pestering these people. But if you're coming from a place of like servitude, you're like, hey, you know, like in this case, like, hey, these people have a property, it needs work, it's technically like an underperforming asset because the tenants aren't paying, you know, they're just paying the mortgage and taxes, they're not getting any income from it. You know, I can provide a service. Am I the best service? I don't know, but I'm going to keep trying to basically like offer that service, you know, to the sellers if it's a fit. You know, I'll tell them like what their other options are and say, hey, you know, these are your options and this is what I can provide. And if they decide that it's something that works for them, then, you know, we can move forward. But just coming from like that place of servitude, I think when you're reaching out to sellers is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. So how, okay, now you can go forward because I want to hear how it goes. So you're following up.
Mm-hmm. So I'm still texting them. It's they're still kind of high. I think they're maybe like wanting like 315 or 300 for this thing. I wanted like to pay like maybe closer to 250 for it. So there's a good spread like between the numbers. Um, so we went back and forth, and I think we finally settled around like 290. Um, and they were pretty like they were pretty savvy like in their negotiation. They just wouldn't come down at all. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I think they came down to like 290 at one point. All in all, I think we ended up getting it at like 285, and we were able to make it work. So yeah, that
Okay.
one, yeah, it took a little bit of time. So from August, that one closed in November. So it took a little bit of follow up.
Yeah. Every week and talking and that's so interesting that they were the properties that different. I know you said they're two duplexes. Were they that different that they accepted the one, and then the one price where you said it was like two, it was lower than that they wanted for it, but the other one they wanted over three. Was there a reason?
Yeah, they were under the impression, and I guess everybody is kind of like entitled to their own opinion, but they were under the impression that the last duplex was better than the first one. So they wanted more for, they were in two different areas. They're probably like maybe like 15, yeah, maybe like 15 miles from each other, but the market is extremely different. But yeah, that was their whole thought process. Like, hey, this one's in better condition. We're not going to sell it for the same price that we sold the other one for. You know, you're going to have to like kind of come up, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But off of that one deal, you got two more, three more.
Yeah.
Three more.
So yeah, technically it's like, I think it's like 4 deals. If you include like the very first one I did, it's like 4 deals tied together. And they're all from, you know, they're all tied to driving for dollars. One was a referral, of course, but that was a buyer from my first deal that I got driving for dollars, you know? So it's just funny how it's all like tied together.
Are you now? So where are you at now? Like, are you still like kind of nurturing those ones back in? Well, so I guess tell me, just tell me where you're at, because you said you travel down to the Carolinas. Did you start driving there? Are you driving in Atlanta? Like, what's kind of going on in your life now?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of I was in the Carolinas for a little while before my wife went back to school in August. So I did some driving there. I did a ton of driving there, really. And I was able to close a couple deals. I didn't really like get like a huge amount of traction, but we did see some results there in the Carolinas. But now I'm in Atlanta, and yeah, it's pretty consistent. Well, we ended the year with a couple leads down here, just jumping into like this new market. And yeah, it's a lot of opportunity out here, a lot of competition as well.
Right. And that's where I want to kind of ask you, I mean, since you have like moved from market to market, so say someone is doing that as well, what are some actions you would suggest to them, like when getting into their new market? Like figuring out where to drive, and like, I mean, you don't know the area. So like
Yeah.
what kind of best practices do you recommend?
I would say like first things first is networking and building like that buyer's list. And I know some people would say like, oh no, just go find the deals first, but I'll tell you why. So then after I do that, I would go out and this is actually something that I got from like my mentor Zach Booth, is you pick an area that has houses are selling like in the median range for that particular market, and you go after areas that have houses selling, say for instance the median's like 250 or 200. You would like use Zillow, and I think he has like YouTube videos that will show you how to do it, but you just basically like go after like those median house price areas. And I just start driving in those areas. But after, like you have your buyers list, of course, the most important thing is getting that marketing, going out and driving, getting your pins in. And to tie that back in, why I say like the buyers list, literally when I came down here to Atlanta, I got down here middle of August. I just like did what I said there, found like median house price, and I drove around. I had a property under contract in 2 weeks,
Woo.
but
Oh,
I didn't have a buyer.
this is
But
where we go. Wah, wah,
yeah,
wah.
you gotta play that in the background. Oh my gosh. So, and then the thing is, I think I had it under contract for like 187. I put it out at like 200. There was some other wholesalers, I think, that were trying to like line buyers up. All in all, I had to cancel the contract. Text the seller like a couple weeks later, oh yeah, I'm under contract with somebody at 200. I'm like, and I know it's an investor. So I'm like, yeah, I just missed out on that deal because I didn't have a solid enough buyers list. So buyers list is first,
That's a very
lesson.
good point. I'm really glad you shared that lesson with us, because I think I hear from a lot of people, it is that back and forth of like, do you build your buyers list? And then it's like, no, just get out and drive. And I think that scenario specifically is a good example of why it's good to have at least like how many buyers would you suggest someone having like lined up before you kind of start? What's a good like weight to have there?
I would say like, it depends what kind of buyers they are or where you're getting them from, because like they're like you could just go in like a Facebook group, get 600 people, but all in all you really have like 100 buyers. I would say like 200 to 300 like solid buyers is good to
Okay.
start. Yeah, I would say like that's good.
I really appreciate you getting back on here and talking to me, because this is really nice to catch up.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely appreciate you having me back.
Right. And again, let me know when the next time comes, because I want to hear about the Atlanta market, and I want to learn more about the deals that happen in there, because you're gonna do
Okay.
great.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple, but I kind of want to do like something recent. I have a couple that I did last year in Atlanta market, but I think I'll just get something recent. That way everything's fresh in my mind.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. But just remember to reach out, and don't be a stranger.
Okay, will do.
Awesome. Good to see you.
All right, good to see you too. Take it easy.
You too.